Welcome back to Stock Talk with Eric Anthony. And for today, we might as well just call it Drone Talk. Let's start with news that came out regarding the USPS. House Democrats tell USPS to pump the brakes on gas guzzling truck contract. A top House Democrat told senior U.S. Postal Service officials Tuesday that the agency needs to go back to the drawing board on an $11.3 billion plan to replace its aging delivery vehicles with up to 148,000 gas-guzzling trucks, despite directives from the Biden administration to make the federal fleet more green and opposition from environmental regulators. What caught my attention regarding this, or just made me think about what could replace maybe some of the gas guzzling and what could help this industry. It definitely brought me to my next point that I want to talk about today, and that will be Dronedek. Dronedek CEO Dan O'Toole was recently on an interview with Fred Fishkin of Textination. What I had found interesting with this interview is that I felt that we've learned way more about Dronedek and what they hope to accomplish by revolutionizing, the modern day mailbox. First thing that jumped out of the boat to me was that they are building a USPS mailbox to their specifications right into the Dronedek itself. Another highlight of the interview was what Dan O'Toole said on what its main functions and what are some of the highlights that the Dronedek mailbox can bring. And a lot of it has to do with healthcare, specifically with the delivering of lab results, the delivering of C19 tests to help facilitate and expedite first response and urgent care. They foresee these Dronedeks being on college campuses, medical facilities, and military facilities. When it comes to items that are delivered, exactly what percentage of those items can be delivered by drone? And that number is 91%. 91% of all items purchased are less than 5 pounds, which would make them drone deliverable. Right now, every day, there's about over 100 million items that are bought online. And those items need to be delivered. With all those items that are purchased, right now it costs about $2 to deliver it. With the help of a Dronedek, it can reduce that cost to less than $1 per delivery. And remind you, every 11 days, that is saving over $1 billion in the shipping economy. So if you go to the last video, you can get a little bit more, there's definitely more information regarding the specs behind and inside the Dronedek itself. But one thing that I was unaware of is that it will have its own built-in charging station. And for all my Alpp fans out there, we already have a relationship within the drone space with Vio Aerospace and Dronedek. I'm wondering if there might be a little bit of a connection with Elecjet and what Elecjet can bring to the table, especially regarding graphene solid state batteries. Dan O'Toole said one of the biggest impediments to drone delivery right now is battery life. And if you guys are Alpp fans, you would know that we have one of our new subsidiaries is Elecjet. Speaking of Elecjet, let's hop into an article that caught my attention just a couple of days ago. Batteries are at the heart of our most important daily technologies. Your phone, your laptop, and eventually your car and home all rely on storing energy in batteries. Current battery technology is great, but graphene batteries could solve their shortcomings. What exactly is graphene? Graphene is a one atom thick crystalline lattice of graphite, which is essentially crystalline carbon. Graphene has several properties that make it very exciting as a potential part of future technology. It has high thermal and electrical conductivity. Mind you, graphene is just carbon. The problem here is, how do you mass produce it? Although it's trivial to create graphene flakes or small sheets for research in a lab, mass production is proving difficult. If it weren't for the challenges of mass producing this nanomaterial reliably, it would have been in products ages ago. The good news is that there are several promising avenues to mass production that could make graphene cheaper enough to hit the mass market. Graphene infused fiber can now be made in reasonable quantities. Graphene can also be produced using solvents, although they are highly toxic. Lithium-ion batteries are the most energy-dense battery you can find in consumer electronics. And just like we said, they're in smartphones, they're in laptops, they're in your EV batteries, they're in almost about everything. However, lithium batteries are volatile and need extensive safety circuitry to help keep them stable. They also degrade with every recharge. And there's a limit to how much power they can deliver at once. And the other thing too is they run the risk of overheating and exploding, and they're also quite slow to charge. And this is where Elecjet comes in. Batteries enhanced with graphene can fix or mitigate many of these issues. Adding graphene to current lithium batteries can increase their capacity dramatically, help them charge quickly, and safely make them last much longer before they need replacement. Solid state batteries have no liquid electrolyte, and that's a substance that sits between the two terminals of a battery and stores the chemical energy that's converted to the electrical current. Creating large practical solid state batteries for commercial use is still an ongoing research goal, but graphene could be the right candidate to make solid state batteries a mass market reality. In a graphene solid state battery, it's mixed with ceramic or plastic to add the conductivity to what is usually a non-conductive material. For example, scientists have created a graphene ceramic solid state battery prototype that could be the blueprint for safe, fast charging alternatives to lithium ion batteries with volatile liquid electrolytes. And right now you can buy some through Elecjet. You can buy these type of batteries that use both lithium and graphene in the Elecjet Apollo battery. It's a pretty cool name. This battery has graphene components to help enhance the lithium battery inside. The main benefit here is charge speed, with Elecjet claiming a 25-minute empty to full charge. And you could ask Lynn. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I'll put his, or if you don't follow me on Twitter, I'm going to put Lynn's handle right here, and you can ask him, because I know that recently he had posted that he just bought some of these new Elecjet batteries, and I think he was claiming that the charge time was even faster than what they're talking about in this article. But anyway, I'll put his information here. I'll include it in the description below, and you can check out some firsthand consumer reviews and reactions from him on how he enjoys the Elecjet batteries so far. Over the next few years, as the cost of graphene production drops, we expect to see more devices beef up their lithium batteries with this wonder material. One day soon, perhaps solid-state graphene batteries will become the next great revolution in power storage. So again, for all my ALPP longs out there, these are the kind of articles that you want to hear. I know as a long-term investor, when I hear stuff like this is the stuff that really just kind of makes me juiced, and no pun intended, in regard to what is to come in the future with some of the subsidiaries that ALPP has been putting together for the past couple of years. Okay, so kind of getting back to the Dronedek interview, another fun feat that is part of the Dronedek Mailbox is that it is something that you're not going to be able to buy, right? I mean, that sounds crazy, but let me rephrase it. It's something that you're going to be able to buy through the subscription model. And look, I was actually talking about this today on Twitter. One of the biggest things I think that I waste money on are some of the subscriptions that I know that they're pulling out like $4.99, $5.99 out of my account. And I don't care if you're a millionaire or if you're dirt broke. I hate seeing that I've just been paying for something that I'm not utilizing. All right, anyway, side note, let me get back to the Dronedek subscription model. So what they anticipate, and they did ask about, do they foresee maybe USPS or like Amazon subsidizing it? Really nothing there with that, with that answer. But Dan O'Toole did speak on how he anticipates the Dronedek to get into the zip codes. And mind you, zip codes, and I don't know if this is specific to Indiana or nationwide, but every zip code is about 80% residential and 20% commercial. That's something I didn't know either. But their goal is to have these Dronedeks consume zip codes. And the way they do that is through the subscription model for the mailbox. And the Dronedek Mailbox will cost $15 a month, and you get the Dronedek and you get the accessibility of the app itself. Because the app is pretty cool. And that is something I didn't know with the past few articles I've been hearing about Dronedek. So let me bring you guys to your attention on what some of the things that the Dronedek app will be able to do. Besides like cooling and besides being able to remotely tell it to keep something cool, whether it's medicine or hot for food, you can also use it as...
Sorry, could you say that again? I'm having trouble hearing you.
You can also utilize the app to help identify an emergency. So you'll be able to, use your app, whether it's a fire, you know, whether you need the police or you need the ambulance, you'll be able to do it from the app. And like in my neighborhood specifically, it's very dark and it sucks because we have like a new community just a few streets down, and there's like a street light every 4 or 5 homes in the new community, which is literally like 5 steps from my house. But on my block, it's extremely dark because we have a lot of old trees that just kind of cover it. And it's beautiful during the day and it looks so picturesque when you're driving down and you see a nice backdrop. But at nighttime, it's super dark and it's low-key very scary. And so if, let's say you had the drone deck and you're in somewhere like my block or you're somewhere remote that doesn't have a lot of light, it can give the opportunity for whatever emergency service that's going to come over to be able to find it faster, and time is of the essence. And that is what will help save lives. Every second matters, especially in an emergency. The app will also keep record of what purchases you have made, and in a weird way, data harvest exactly what's coming in and what's going out. The drone deck will also have the ability to help you return your items that you don't need. Annually, the return service, like economy or market, it's $1 trillion market in itself. And so imagine being able to tap into that. Imagine, let's say you buy something from Amazon, right? I'm just using Amazon example. It comes, it's not what you want. Today, what we have to do if we buy something from Amazon, let's see, maybe protein. By the way, I saw some pretty cool protein out there that I think I need to buy for the season that's around the corner. Anyway, that's a different story. If you get something from Amazon that you don't want, right now, what we need to do is you need to print out the label. You got to make sure you have paper. You got to make sure you have printer for that label. And I don't know if any of you guys, but you always seem to not have one of those 2 things when it's time to return an item. And then next thing you know, the item just sits in your house. So after you get those 2 things done, the next thing you need to do is you need to drive to a facility that will accept the return. And like for us out here, we got to drive to Kohl's, and we only have 1 Kohl's in like 3 neighboring cities. So if you're not nearby that Kohl's, you have to figure out the next place to go and drop off and return the item, and you got to make sure you do it correctly or you're not going to get your money back. Now, with the drone deck, all that goes out the door. The drone deck will remember what you just bought. I believe it will remember up to the 12 items, if I'm not mistaken, of what your recent purchase history is. And if you need to return it, it will communicate directly with the person that sent it. So in this case, for this example, it would be Amazon. And so the drone will pick up the item and take it back. And what drone will that be? A Vayu Aerospace drone. So, hearing all that today, man, it just blew me away and just made me even more excited. I know right now the price action of Alpp was low. It was as high as $1.70 at its peak for the past month. And now it's about $1.06. I think in after hours, we saw it as high as $1.09 at the time of this recording. And I don't think, I foresee it going down a little bit more. Like, again, I don't like to be negative. I just like to be realistic, but we still haven't got those numbers yet from Q4. And so when we do get those numbers, I do anticipate a drop. And if any of you guys have been paying attention, our institutional ownership has increased since the last time I updated you guys. I will leave the link below to our Google Drive that has all the institutions that have been investing so far. But as of April 5th, I know we picked up a few more institutions, which is always great. But anyway, getting back to returning, imagine not having to print out the shipping labels, saving that time, and that's something the drone deck will be able to do with no questions asked. Another thing that the drone deck did discuss was their ways of revenue, and some of the main things that popped out to me on they said they have about 5 different paths of revenue. Of course, it'll be what they get from their subscriptions. More importantly, though, they will get money off of the charging of the drone itself. So whoever utilizes their drone deck as a charging base, they will be able to charge them and have a transaction fee for whatever juices they pull from the drone deck. Another revenue source for drone deck will be, and as you can probably tell, will be from data harvesting. And now imagine big companies utilizing your mailbox to figure out what it is that you do and you don't buy, and how valuable that can be to companies like that. I know there might be a catch-22 to that, so to each their own on how you guys feel about drones. I know in the article that I was reading today, the guy was not too happy with how drones may take over the urban communities. But yeah, so speaking of that article, let's get into that. Okay, so this article came out on Saturday via Wall Street, and it said, Alphabet's commercial drone delivery takes off in Dallas. On Saturday, the Wall Street Journal reported that some of the world's biggest companies had begun to quietly roll out commercial drone delivery services in communities across the country. And the participants included Google, Walmart, and Amazon. Many of these companies have already been conducting tests of drone deliveries for quite some time, but this year, many of them are officially scaling up and rolling out commercial operations. And mind you, they foresee the drone commercial space to be a $60 billion industry. At the locations that have been selected for business, commercial delivery operations will apparently involve dozens or even hundreds of deliveries per day. One of the first among these is the Alphabet-owned drone company Wing. And remember, for any of you guys that don't know, Alphabet is the parent company to Google. The Alphabet-owned drone company Wing, which announced Monday that it's officially launching its first commercial delivery service in the United States this week in Texas. The deliveries will be targeted at multiple neighborhoods throughout the Dallas area where Wing has been testing deliveries since last year. They will be starting small in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex with services to tens of thousands of suburban homes in the city of Frisco and the town of Little Elm. In addition to Walgreens, they will be delivering items with 3 new partners in Frisco and Little Elm. They are going to be delivering ice cream from Blue Bow Creameries. And here in the article, it says, yes, it'll stay frozen on those hot Texas summer days. And that's where Dronedek and that app will come into play, because Dronedek can keep your items cool and it can keep your items hot. They will have prescription pet medications from EasyVet and first aid kits from Texas Health. They're calling this launch the first ever commercial drone delivery service in a major U.S. metropolitan area. And mind you, Dronedeks will be taking place starting in the summertime. So I think end of Q2. If you guys want to read the rest of that article, I will go in there. Just again, keep in mind the person who wrote the article, even though it's, you get a lot of good information, it is an opinion-based piece. He does feel that they might even be useful in America's rural environments where the nearest pharmacy is potentially dozens of miles away and a trip to pick up medicine is an actual chore. And to piggyback off of that, I saw this article that came out a couple months ago from out of Oklahoma, but I do think it's applicable to this discussion today. And again, Stock Talk today is Drone Talk, so let's hop into that article a little bit, just so we can kind of see how the adoption of drones in different types of areas, including our rural areas, is growing nationwide. The FAA and Choctaw Nation unite under drone research. The FAA's collaboration with the Native American tribe to study the use of drones for package delivery, weather-related research, and STEM outreach. The FAA is partnering with CNO on the Beyond Drone program, created to work with state, local, and tribal governments to develop beyond visual line of sight operations for drones and opening doors to the many applications for which they can be used. The main focus of CNO's Beyond Research is part 135 package delivery operations. The Choctaw residents in rural, isolated communities may have scant access to healthcare. The ability to deliver medicine or other medical necessities quickly via drones during an emergency could save lives. The health implications of drone use are going to have the most immediate impact on rural communities. And additionally, the CNO is collaborating with Oklahoma State University to determine how drones can be used to research low altitude weather, which in a state that is in the middle of a tornado alley could have a huge safety impact on the community. CNO, with the assistance of FAA, has been reaching out to school systems, teachers, and students through science, technology, engineering, and math, also known as STEM programs, to educate them about drones and inspire them to get involved in the new technology. Okay, so if you guys want more information on that article, just like everything else, the link will be below. But again, I hope that we are able to just learn a little bit more about the capabilities of drones and just kind of like broaden our scope on what drones can do besides just delivering. With the help of the interviews that we saw today in the articles, we are hearing now that not only can they help make deliveries. They will help save time and ultimately help save lives if done correctly. Anyway, thank you so much for checking in with Stock Talk with Erik Anthony. And like always, I'll see you mañana.